Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jody Brockington, and I'm the host for today's National Urban League Digital Career Success Series. And we're finally made it into July. This is our last series before we all head to Cincinnati for the great National Urban League annual conference and bringing a lot of our speakers live and a lot of these topics live at our career fair and across our entire conference. So thank you for joining us today. Today's title is Wantrepreneur. Are you ready to fire your boss? Everyone always believes that the grass is always greener outside of an office, potentially, and have had dreams of becoming an entrepreneur, starting their own business, and might even have a side hustle of their own today. While you sit in your office, please take note that entrepreneurship is not for everyone, but it could be for you. Our guest today, Mr. Al Pickett, will definitely show you some ways of how entrepreneurship can be your pathway and a great way to start off smart. So Al, if you can take it away, we look forward to hearing what you have to say. And everyone on the line today, please feel free to ask questions throughout. Please type them in, and we will answer them at the end during Q&A. If there is a question, though, that does come up that is right on target on time, I will definitely make sure that Al knows. So thank you for joining us today, Al, all the way from the other side of the world. And let them know a little bit about yourself, why you're here today, and then start with your presentation.
Absolutely. Well, first off, I want to say thank you to you all. Thank you to Wanda Jackson, Jody Brockington, and Cynthia Daniels for this tremendous opportunity to share with you something that I'm passionate about, something that I've been doing all my life, and I'm very excited about sharing what I've learned are some of the smart ways to give you for you to make less mistakes on the journey of becoming your own boss. So thank you for this tremendous opportunity. There is a point where I'm going to talk a little bit more about myself, but more importantly, to start off, I want to talk about this slide here, which is in the past 30 years, all net new job growth has come from high growth entrepreneurship. And a lot of times, well, we're all familiar with what happened in 2008 with the mortgage crisis. People, they lost their jobs, they lost their life savings, and all these different things. And that really sparked a worldwide awakening about people wanting to take control of their future and that not be in the hands of giant corporations who could, drop the axe at any moment. And that leads me to talking about, obviously, entrepreneurship, where people say, you know what, I want to be in control of my future. And the only way to do that is for me to be my own boss, cut my own checks, and control everything. And not only that, just being in a position to make the world a better place with your product or service is extremely powerful and rewarding along the way. And a lot of times we do think that the job growth comes from these large organizations, but when you look at companies like Google, when you look at Amazon, when you look at PayPal, in their first 3 to 7 years, they are the ones who have reinvigorated truly our economic engine by powering us with new ways to deliver products to market, new ways to communicate, et cetera, et cetera. And with that comes the need for extremely talented people to help them grow. And so they hire a lot faster than other organizations. And they hire a lot faster than most Fortune 500 companies. All right, moving on to the next slide. Before we get started, before we go any further, let me just say, I want you to write down questions as you have them. I want you to ask them as you have them. And more importantly, I only want you to, we tend to have a habit of seeing bullet points and thinking that's the most important information. And that's not necessarily the case. So I want you to write down action items, only the action items that you're going to do in the next 48 hours. And I think that way you get the most out of this presentation, some valuable information. And if you see something that's extremely valuable, it's always a positive thing to share that with the world. And you can do that. First of all, you can follow me at Mr. Al Pickett And the hashtag for today's presentation is hashtag NUL, hashtag never stop. Definitely believe in never stopping, going after your dreams, pursuing your dreams. And entrepreneurship it's a hard road, it's a tough road, and there will be failures, but in that, you have to never stop. So that's where that hashtag never stop comes from. So a little bit about myself, getting to know me a little bit. I am a 10-year veteran of the real estate finance industry. I purchased my first company at the age of 24. It was amazing and crazy all at the same time. Half the employees quit. The second week I bought the company, half the employees quit. I was not prepared for that. Didn't have the proper mentorship around that. But I was still able to grow the company, rebrand the company. In the first year, I did 5 times what I paid for it within the first year after rebranding and hiring additional people, et cetera. I'm also the author of the Black Print, The New Rules for Winning Finance, Freedom, and Flexibility, which you can find out more at blackprintnewrules.com. In addition to that, and running other companies, I'm also the vice president of Starco, and Starco is a venture development company that helps entrepreneurs with raw ideas and turn them into successful products or services. But we do that by focusing on the founder first. And so, a little bit about Starco and what we do and what's going on right now. We have 18 teams, which is the largest in the state of Tennessee and probably the country, that have launched this summer. So every year we have teams submit, they compete to get in, and we give them the 3 M's. We give them money, we give them mentors, and a Marine-style boot camp to whip them into shape over 90 days. So it starts in July and ends in August every year. And this year we have 18 teams, and we do that by focusing on building the founder up first. Because if you can't lead yourself, then the truth is in entrepreneurship, it's going to be hard to lead other people, to inspire other people, to get them to follow your vision and get customers on board, get suppliers on board, all those different things. So you got to be able to lead yourself first. Then we help them in terms of product development. We also help them in terms of dollars, how to raise money, how to monetize the business, et cetera. And we even have speakers that come in that teach them various things like public speaking, how to write effectively, how to market themselves, how to, when they get hostile interviews, even by the press, how do you handle that? With social media and et cetera, and mishaps happening all the time, that is very, very powerful. So not just focusing on the business itself, but them as a well-rounded founder. Jumping into that, I want to talk about, are you ready for the leap into entrepreneurship? This is the points that you see here. I hope they hit home, and it's things that you really need to think about before you make that leap. Jody alluded to it being this dream that most people have, and it being this awesome thing. But if you are not ready, if you can't answer these questions in a way that that propels you to move forward, and with the attitude that nothing's going to stop you, then it's time to take pause, take note, and really think about it. So is responsibility something that you seek, accept, or avoid? Having people that rely on you for a paycheck is a lot of responsibility. That rely on you to deliver a product or a service when you say you're going to deliver it, that's a lot of responsibility. And you don't want to let anybody down. So that's a very, very important point. Do you view money as a measure of accomplishment, security, or is it, how do you view money? Is the money everything? Because in entrepreneurship, the money can't be everything. I've seen so many businesses fail. I've seen so many businesses fail because people were chasing money. And that's not what entrepreneurship is about. It's about solving problems. It's about helping others. It's about serving others. So you can't look at money just as the sole accomplishment. What do you consider the maximum workday? That's highly important. 40 hours, is too much for you every week, then entrepreneurship is definitely not for you, because on average, every entrepreneur puts in about 80 hours a week. It's no joke. A 12-hour day is the minimum. How does your family feel about starting a business? Now, we all have family members, and especially, I think we're in a point where a lot of us are first-generation business owners or first-generation entrepreneurs, and our parents have always kind of taken the safe route, or that was a productive thing to do, because things were a lot different 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And so sometimes we get a little pushback from our families about, oh, I don't know, they've never taken that risk before, so they don't have anything to compare it to. And so the whole entire economic landscape has changed, where definitely becoming an entrepreneur is almost, in some ways, the best way to promise that you're going to have a lofty retirement, because there are very few pension funds out there anymore. It's, all 401k, which is market-driven, stock market-driven, et cetera. The next one is very important. Are you prepared to lower your standard of living to get the business started? That's a question that you have to ask and take serious, because there are going to be a lot of things that you're going to have to cut to get the business off the ground. Just the time that you spend alone, the time that you spend with friends, that's going to suffer, because you're now going to be going from 40 hours to 80 hours or more. You may have to move, or you may have to adjust what you're normally accustomed to spending on entertainment and vacation, et cetera, clothes, so that you can have a higher probability of making this business successful. So there's times when I had to not pay myself, but just to make sure everyone else is paid. That goes back to that responsibility factor. Are you ready for that? And it's putting yourself second and putting everybody else first. That's very, very, very important, because the truth is you can lose it all. I've been there, lost it all, and was able to bounce back from that. But I cannot put a price on what I learned in the process, what I learned about myself, what I learned about business. But the reality is that you can lose all your savings in entrepreneurship. That's a big risk for most. I don't want to say just most, but 99% of us, that's a huge risk, and that changes a lot of things. What personal strengths do you bring to the business? That's important. So if you're very good in sales, or you're just very good in management, or are you very good at marketing? And what weaknesses could be a problem for you? Do you have problems letting go of control? That could be a problem for you. And a lot of times when people go into business, running a company, especially when you're the CEO and you're starting out, literally, you're the janitor, you're the marketer, you're the CEO, you're the CIO, you're the CMO, you're the accountant. You're all these different things when you go into business and you're just starting out. So what strengths do you bring to the table? What are your weaknesses? And then the next question is, how will you compensate for those weaknesses? And we'll jump into a little bit about how you can do that. So how will you compensate? And now, okay, well, who can I find? Who's equipped to handle this area that I'm not? The next slide is really what makes a good business idea. And I meet with 4 to 5 new entrepreneurs every single week. And it's always interesting to hear, various ideas. But I want to touch on what makes a good business idea. Sustainable market demand. You have, if you've had an idea, we've all had an idea, and we'll go, oh, this is awesome. Everybody's going to want it. No, everybody is not going to want what you think everybody's going to want. So I'm going to give you some tips and an actual skill set to be able to test market demand. So sustainable market demand is very important. It's very acceptable financial risk. If it's going to take $100,000 to build this company or invest in this idea, but you only have the opportunity to sell $30,000 worth of products or services because the market is so small, that's not acceptable financial risk. So you're going to have, number one, you're going to have, well, you essentially set yourself up for a quick failure. And once again, I'm going to give you some things to help you figure that out. All the operations is simple. You don't need very, very complex. You don't need very, very complex operations to have a company and to be able to go to market. You definitely don't want difficult operations because you need to be able to train other people to perform simple tasks, kind of almost like McDonald's. McDonald's has very, very simple operations where they train people all across the country, and pretty much anybody can walk in and take the helm and grow the company. Is it feasible? Strong market demand, profitable, scalable, meaning can it grow from just this idea in one city to a national product or national service, or even globally? And that kind of goes hand in hand with high growth potential. When you go out there and you start a company and you're looking for capital, the ability to find money and find investors that will be willing to invest in you will depend on how much money you can make. Is it scalable, and does it have high growth potential? And the next piece is it a defensible channel? Is your business defensible? Look at Google, very defensible. Everybody Googles. They have the market leader, the market demand. And nobody really goes anywhere else to find out information. They made Google a bird. Is it Googleable? Can you Google it? Please Google it, etc. So is your business plan defensible? Do you have intellectual property that nobody else can get access to? So this is a core hypothesis for customer discovery. And using this will extremely eliminate going into businesses that don't have real opportunity attached to them. And I teach this to entrepreneurs every week, and they go out. The ones that do the work, what's interesting about this process is the ones that go out and do the work, they're usually the ones who are able to that actually get a paying customer, and they're usually the ones that go out and are able to raise money. So during the discovery phase, there are 4 hypotheses regarding a potential startup, and you use that with actual customers. And so the first one is problem hypothesis, the solution hypothesis, price hypothesis, and go to market. And we're going to talk about that a little bit, jumping into the first one. Successful ideas solve a particular problem for someone, and problem is closely correlated to what someone is willing to pay, right? And how soon they're willing to pay it. For example, if I have a toothache, if you have a toothache, we're willing to pay whatever to get rid of that toothache. So that is that's one of those businesses that's solving a real problem, and it's a painful problem. And it's the same whether it's any other service or product. How big is the problem? So if that problem is only relative to 100,000 people in the country versus 100 million people, then you're going to have a very small opportunity in itself, and a higher probability for failure as well. So they need to solve a problem. It needs to solve a real problem, and that problem needs to be painful because that's strongly correlated to how much people are willing to pay. Does your solution to the problem match up with, is your solution better? In what way is it better? Is it cheaper? Is it faster? Does it come faster? Does it arrive faster? I'll give you an example. We used to basically go to like Blockbuster, right? Some of us. We used to, I may be telling my age at this point. But we used to go to Blockbuster, which is now a dinosaur. I think it was a dead dinosaur too. But then came along Netflix, and Netflix said, I think it was $7.99 any movie, anytime. Well, now I don't have to leave my house. It's cheaper, and I get to watch all the movies I want to watch. Well, under the solution hypothesis includes the details. Well, those are the product features and the product delivery schedule. Any movie, anytime for $7.99. So they got you on price, they have you on delivery, they have you on convenience, etc. So those things changed and immediately wiped out a whole company. And then came along Redbox, which, hey, just pick up a movie anytime for $1. So those are some of the things you want to think about when you think about your solution versus it's really how are things now and why are you better is what it really comes down to when you talk about problem and solution. And a rule of thumb is this. You only want to build 20% of the features that will satisfy 80% of the customers. And as new entrepreneurs, there's a lot of times perfection gets in the way. You don't need to be perfect as an entrepreneur. You don't need to have the perfect product. An example of that is the iPhone. You had iPhone 1, iPhone 2. I'm waiting on iPhone 10 because eventually it's going to get there, and it just keeps getting better because technology is speeding up. So they didn't worry about having all the features. They didn't worry about having a perfection. They just wanted to get it in your hands for you to tell them what they should build next. What would be awesome to have next? I don't even think the first one had a camera on it. And now we have, those cameras on the iPhone are now replacing cameras that you would otherwise just, had no other benefit. So now your phone does you listen to music, you call, you text, and you're able to take pictures, shoot videos, etc. And most of the time that's higher quality than some of the other cameras out there. So iteration trumps perfection. The next piece is price hypothesis, and this is extremely important, and I want you to take a note on. If nobody is willing to pay you, you do not have a business. And so I see a lot of times, I meet a lot of people, and the truth is that there are a lot of business card CEOs out there. You slap a name on it, you get registered with the state and all that good stuff, and you say you're in business. Well, if nobody's paying you for your service or your product, you are not in business. And so if people are not willing to pay you for what you have, that's a big problem. So you got to think about how will you generate revenue? Are your customers willing to pay? And even going to the point of thinking about who are they paying now, why are they paying it, and will they pay more? Will they pay less? What don't they like about what they're getting, where they're getting it at? All of those things need to be thought about. And once again, price is significantly close to or related to the pain that you're solving. So if you need a hint for it, this may not be the best example, but it's a true example. If you need a new heart, it's going to cost you about $250,000. Otherwise, you have another kind of problem. So price is closely related to the problem that you're going to be solving and how painful it is. This is my favorite. This is my favorite out of the 18 teams or the teams that we work with every year. This is always the weakest link of someone's business model. And it's always the weakest outside of that when I meet with people individually is they say, okay, well, I ask them, how are you going to go to market? How are you going to create awareness for this product or service? And the first thing they say is social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. But they don't have any specific strategies on how they're going to go to market using even those methods, even those platforms. And the other piece of that is, what are the non-obvious ways that you can potentially go to market? Trade shows, conventions, speaking engagements, product placement, and even product placement in local theaters, local movies, baseball parks, etc. There are non-obvious ways that you can be different from what other people are doing in the marketplace and you see, the things that are extremely expensive are obviously TV, like to purchase commercials, radio, to purchase commercials, anything print magazine. It's extremely expensive. And there are so many new ways and new technologies that you can use to create awareness for your product or service that it makes, you've got to take advantage of those things. And people have to be willing to be your customer. If they don't know about you, they can't purchase anything. And so you have to go out there and create intentional attention for your business. Intentional attention for your company, for your product, for your service, for your brand. And this is one of those places, now we're talking about testing with customers, and I want you to definitely take some notes on this. This process alone will be worth your time that you spent thus far on this webinar. The primary cause of failure for organizations or for entrepreneurs is premature execution. The primary cause of failure is premature execution. So it means everybody's going to want this. I'm just going to go build it. If I build it, they will come. Let me just say here, as you can see at the top, guesswork is entirely too expensive. And you don't have to guess anymore. You do not have to guess whether somebody's going to buy or not, or are you building the right thing. I want you to generate a list, and we have all the startups do this. I want you to generate a list of 50 target customers that kind of make up your avatar of who you think your customer is, whether that's how much money they make, what neighborhood they live in, what kind of cars they drive, what kind of education they have, what race they are, et cetera, where they tend to hang. You need to know all of that information because guess what? Facebook knows it about you, Google knows it about you, Amazon knows it about you. I want to do what the major players are doing. So generate a list of 50 of those customers of who real people. Don't go to family and friends. You have to get outside of that comfort zone and talk to other people that look like your customer. Then I want you to talk to them one-on-one. And in subsets of 10, and I want you to track the data. I want you to get data from them. And the power of this is this. If 7 people tell me they want the color red of a T-shirt, or they would like it delivered on their birthday, or they would like it delivered at the beginning of the week versus the end of the week so that they can take advantage of this, then that's a trend. 7 out of 10 people have told me they want it this way. So those people are who I need to be listening to, not family and friends, not someone who has never done it, who has never been in business. I need to listen to people who are actually going to be my customers. So I want you to talk to 50 people, but I want you to talk to them in subsets of 10. Because by the time you get to 50, you have very, very strong data on what you need to be building. That way you're not building something nobody wants. And the powerful thing about this process of talking to 50 customers is that you're going to frame it in a way that you're able to go back to them and have a conversation with. Well, you've already talked to them before. Now you can say, hey, I don't have this all figured out. And is it okay if I come back to you once I have something a little better? I've never had anyone tell me no. And now you have those relationships, and these are your likely first 50 customers, and it doesn't get any better than that. So make a list of 50, get out of the house, get out of the office, and talk to some people you don't know about what it is you want to build, why you want to build it, and find out what problems they are having around what you're building. This is Testing with Customers Continued. You're going to ask some questions. Now, let me say this. Most of the time, I think we've all experienced this. We go to a networking event, and somebody says, well, what do you do? And that's it. So if I tell you I'm an engineer, or I tell you I'm a stockbroker, or whatever the case, the conversation's over. So we're going to end that today. If you're listening on this call, we're going to end that today. What you do when you go into a room to really, and this works with your engaging with your 50 customer list, you ask people, so what's the most important activity of your day? And you'll watch, it baffles you. People can't even believe you're asking that. But it's a different level of engagement. So when I ask business people, what's the most important activity in your business, they're sharing with me the most important activity in their business. The next thing I ask them is, are there any frustrations around that activity? Well, now they tell me what they don't like and what's a headache for them. Well, if I can solve a headache and it's revolved around the most important activity of your day, then I have a business. And I can figure out a way for you to pay for it, et cetera. So ask some different questions, ask some stimulating questions that are not, that are more of you asking about them and what frustrates them versus will you buy this product, will you buy this service, et cetera. And that's how you get real information, uncover problems and opportunities that you can get monetized. And you definitely want to refine your hypothesis based on your customer feedback. So you listen to your customers, you're talking to 50 of them, 30 of them say, you know what, you may even find, and we find that the entrepreneurs do this, they find that the business model that they think was going to work is not even a business model, and they find a new business model just by talking to customers or who they think are their customers. So that's why this process is so important, that you don't have to guess. You want to talk to people who you think are actually going to spend money with you. It's all about delivery. It is all about delivery. So after you've talking to people and you've kind of had these conversations and they tell you, give you some initial thoughts and you have some strong data points, it's time to build it. It's time to get a prototype out the door, what we like to call a MVP, a minimum viable product. And those 50 people that you talk to, those are the people that are more likely to pay. They've already told you what's too much, what's too low, or well, they didn't probably tell you what's too low, but they told you how much they were willing to pay for that. And once you see that, 30 people or 35 people are willing to pay $45, that $45 is a good price for you to charge for whatever you're serving up, your product or your service. Remember here that iteration trumps perfection. So just get it out the door. Let people tell you. I like to say, ship the ugly baby. Nobody's going to tell you your baby, well, family definitely. Family and friends, they're not going to tell you your baby's ugly. But I guarantee you, if you ship something, a product, or you offer up a service and people pay for it, they're going to tell you if it's up or not. That is very, very important. And for you all on the call, please remember to ask any questions that you have as we go along. The last point here is to let the customer shape your excellence. Let the customer shape your excellence. You can't figure it all out on the front end. There's no need to try to be perfect. It's all about building something, getting it in the hands of the people, and letting them give you some feedback. That way you can make it better. That takes the guesswork out of this. That makes us better. That helps us make better products and services to serve to the entire world. If you can build that awesome thing for 100 people, then 1 million people will want it. But trying to please 1 million people on the front end and you haven't pleased 100, that makes no sense. This is my favorite. Show me the money. Show me the money. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and building a business model around this thing now that you're talking to customers and you shipped it and you've got a little bit of feedback and people are paid for it. Once you have developed yourself, obviously, and you've proven that this business model, that the business is viable because you had somebody pre-order. And let me stop here and say that money is an issue, but it's not the end-all, be-all of business. Because if you have something that truly solves a problem for someone, they will pre-order before it's even built. They will pre-order that product or service and say, you know what, I want that when it's available. I just want to be the first to get it. So don't let money be the barrier from you doing something or starting something. You know, it doesn't have to be. And I want to talk about, this is what we're going to next. There's the old school, the business plan, which is usually 45, 50 pages of fluff. And people slide it to me, and I slide it right back. Because that also tells me maybe you thought about it and you hypothesized, but you haven't done any testing in the real marketplace of why this business is going to be successful. So I don't have any proof. I have a lot of hypotheses. The new school is the business model canvas, which we're going to talk about next. I didn't include a picture of the actual canvas, but it's one sheet that allows you to visually see the entire business model, which I'm going to make sure that you all can get a copy of that as well. But I'm going to definitely talk about them. And so these are the 9 building blocks on the business model canvas. There is customer relationships. So how are you need to think about how are you maintaining relationships? What kind of relationship would your customer like to have with you? Is it high touch or is it low touch? If I buy a Bentley, I want a high touch relationship. I want you to call me and check on me from time to time. Invite me over to the dealership and let me have some champagne and chocolate from time to time. I would appreciate that. But if it's low touch, hey, I'm just grabbing a movie from the red box. Let me know when new movies are coming out via email, right? So is it high touch or low touch? Think about that, because that also impacts you retaining customers and getting referrals. Value proposition. What are the 3 to 5 benefits that people are going to get by interacting with your business, your solution? Are they going to get more time? Sometimes people will always jump to money at this point. They'll say, oh, well, we're cheaper. Well, as soon as I come along and price it cheaper, you're out of business. So you need more oomph to your value proposition. So what are the 3 to 5 benefits people are getting? Channels. How are you going to create awareness, and how is that product or service going to be delivered? And how many channels can you use to create awareness for your brand? Customer relationships is on their site, but it should be customer segments. A customer segment is, do you have a platform? Like Facebook is a platform, right? So they have two customers. They have us as the users, and then they have the advertisers as a customer. And revenue, how are you going to make money? Key resources, what are the exact things that you need to run the company? Key activities, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis? What kind of key partnerships can you have? Cost structure, what are the inherent costs to running this company, whether it's employees, whether it's marketing, etc. So that gives you a visual layout of what goes into a business model. And this is something that I find extremely important. Find some freaking mentors. That's something that I didn't do on the front end, and now I mentor, and it's one of the things that I value, that I appreciate, that is extremely important to your success. Look, mentorship is the cornerstone to life, point blank period. There's no questions about it. And so a good mentor is going to bridge the experience gap. A good mentor is going to help you network, going to hold you accountable. And sometimes you just need a little bit of emotional support when things are rough. And furthermore, if that person's been successful, success breeds success. So you want to be around other people that's successful. You want to learn from other people that's successful, because you ultimately want to go where they are and higher. So that concludes really the presentation. I hope you all have found that helpful as you think about entrepreneurship, as you think about what it means for you and how to get started, etc. I have my information there where you can email me, al@neverstop.co. Let's get personal on social media. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I also will text you my 5 tips to explode your network. you just text the word "press go" to 313131, and I'll send you an email. You'll send me an email, and I'll send you an email. And you can find out more about what the work we're doing over at Starco at neverstop.co. And if you want to find out more about the Black Print and the new rules for winning finance, freedom, and flexibility, that's the book I wrote. If you want to find out more about that, you can go to blackprintnewsrules.com or the Facebook page and check that out. So now I'll open it up for questions. And I really appreciate you all, and I hope you found this call valuable, and I hope you found valuable information on it.
Thank you so much. I mean, that was a lot of information, and we have a lot of questions for you today. I'll start off with a fairly easy one because this one's more technical, but one of the listeners today wanted to know, how do they register their business and their website?
So you don't have to necessarily register. So for the website, you can go to either name.com if you want to get your website up and going, and they provide hosting as well. So it may be like $9 to do that. But for your actual business, to get it registered, whatever state you're in, just type in register business and type in your state, and that'll give you Google that, and that'll give you access to that information.
Another question that keeps coming up regularly, especially for those who are trying to venture out, is the protection of their kind of intellectual property. You know, there's definitely, what's the difference of in a testing phase, right? You don't want to give away everything and all your information, but, you know, what are some tips when you're testing out a new product or service to not give it all away, knowing that someone else might take your idea? What's your suggestions on that?
All right. Well, you're not going to, most people are not going to like this, but I'm going to tell it like it is because that's my job. The best protection is execution. So that means moving fast, getting that product or service out the door, getting it validated, and then growing it. Because there is, although there are patent, trademarks, et cetera, there are so many ways around that information or those protections at this point that they're almost useless. So the best protection, I won't say they're useless, but they are less useful than before. So the best protection is execution. So get that product out the door, get that service out the door, let people tell you what's awesome about it, and you just barrel forward.
Yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes, though, we all are a little hesitant, but, you're saying throw yourself out there, right? Take that risk. You never know what's going to happen. Correct? Well, that kind of follows up with one of these next questions, which is, I throw myself out there. I think that, I have the best water ever. How does someone compare and do research on the pricing with my competitors? Knowing that there's thousands of water companies out there, how would I do something like that? I'm using water as an example. That was not part of the question. But the idea of, how do you decide how to price your product or service in comparison to your competition?
Yeah, so the best way to do that is to, once again, talk to the customer. So if you have something that you would like to build that's already out into the marketplace, you just call up 10 people, or you find 10 people that are sitting around somewhere, or you can go to the mall and do this if you like. But talk to them and say, hey, this product, this service, where are you currently buying it? How much are you paying for it? Do you think that's too high? Do you think that's too low? I mean, you're paying for it. So you want to ask questions to the people who are already engaged with it and get your data from them. And that's the most powerful thing you can do. And then you go and look up your competitors to see, and you can kind of reverse engineer what they're doing and how they're going into the marketplace. Just by going to their website, maybe you even buy your competitors, I'll use water, but you buy their water and see how it comes to you. How was it delivered to you? How was the experience? What's up about it? What was great about it? And you learn from that.
Yeah, no, I think firsthand asking and, having live surveys are always great. And, if it is a product, I must say, is something that's edible or something that's tangible, it's always good to allow people to actually touch it, taste it, feel it, give you some real feedback that you wouldn't get from, a survey. So what do you have, for the advice for those who kind of want to enter the entertainment industry as an entrepreneur? It seems like most of the strategies you discussed can be used, but do you have any specific tips for that industry since it's a little bit more cutthroat than some others?
Yes, that was an industry, that was actually one of the first industries I entered, bought into a record label, believe it or not. But for that industry, don't just limit yourself to, like, the record business is big, right? Nobody buys records anymore. So really it's all about creating digital assets for entertainment. So you can create online content. You look at Revolt TV, which is P. Diddy is doing. You look at All Deaf Digital, which is Russell Simmons online, only on YouTube platform. So look at other, look to see what the moguls are doing, right? And then look for a niche where you can create content or licensing deals. And a lot of, even in the entertainment industry now, what could you create to help artists engage better with their fans? Is there a platform that you can create for that? What could you create to help them sell more, merchandise? Because that's where all the money is now, it shows and merchandise. So what could you help to create that? So it's really just about finding a lane that you're excited about that is not saturated. There's plenty of opportunity in the entertainment business, for sure.
I totally agree. You have to find your own niche and kind of what you're passionate about. There's, you're going to be doing this a long time, so you got to love it. What is, you were talking about, growth and, time frames. And so is there a realistic time frame for growth, and how does a person, an individual determine, what is a good time frame for them? Is it based on the business itself, or, the type of business, or if they're doing it full-time, part-time, or what?
That's it's an interesting question to answer, because I truly believe you have to throw yourself into it. But using some of the processes that I've given today, you can mitigate your risk by not guessing. And so from a time frame perspective, it's as quick as you got to say, okay, well, if I have this idea, I get it validated, I have paying customers, what number of paying customers helps me do this full time? So I think that to answer that question succinctly, it's relevant to how fast can you replace your income, or the minimum amount of income that you need to survive, so that you can grow this exponentially. Because the quicker you can throw yourself into your business and work on it 100% of the time, that 80 plus hours I was talking about, the better off you're going to be.
No, I totally agree. What about, you talked about what you wish you had some mentors sooner. Besides finding them, often there's been a couple of questions coming up. There's some industries that, there's paid mentorship. So how do you feel about, paying for mentorship? That, they're kind of internships or sometimes apprentice things, but sometimes you have to pay into it versus, a regular natural or, seeking out a mentor of your own.
I agree with both ways, because for my investment business, that's how I learned how to do it properly, as I paid for mentorship. And then there are opportunities where it's just people I met and we connected, and they said, hey, you've got to do it this way to have some, to get some results. And that's extremely powerful for us. So my answer to that is I would do both. We are quick to spend, just look at education. We'll spend $60,000 for an education. That's mentorship. They're showing you how to do a particular subject. So I'm not opposed to either.
Yeah, no, I think there's value in all of those. I mean, I think that there's often when things are quote unquote free, they seem to have less value, or you have a little less skin in the game, and vice versa. So, it's another investment in yourself. Another question that came up, which, I'm curious as well, just because all my businesses are service businesses. So do you have any preferred models for businesses, for business structure for service businesses versus a product business? Is there something that you believe works better for a service to be successful?
Yes. And it's more, it's for both of them. It's customer engagement. It is truly about customer engagement. And when you have a service business, the higher touch you can be without breaking the bank, the better. So the more attention that, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, you go.
Yeah, I was going to say, the more attention that you can give that customer to find out, but because customers' needs are always changing. So the more attention and the more listening that you can do with that customer, the better. And that helps you obviously attract new customers and keep your current ones on board. So I would say that's one of the things I focus on for sure, is listening. More listening, less talking.
Yeah, no, in terms of, definitely the customer touch, but I think it's easier if you and I were both selling cupcakes and, mine was unique because of the funky frosting colors and maybe you had a better cake. But in service competition, right, one marketing firm to another, one real estate firm to another, how do you stand out there beyond the touches? How do you really find your market niche? I'm speaking this exactly the way I would do it is all about, let me just say, I'm going to give you this acronym. It's AIDA, and so it's attention, interest, desire, action. Well, I can't get you to take any action if I don't get your attention. So it's all about creating awareness. So getting that attention and heightening that attention across all the potential channels that you have so that you can differentiate yourself and do it creatively. So everything is not about, how much money you can spend to get a customer. It's about how creative can you be at messaging because everybody's doing the same thing. Does that kind of answer your question? I hope it does answer the question for our listeners. I think so. In terms of, you just have to be unique and stand out to one customer or another, and there's plenty out there. I think often that people don't either cast out a wide enough net or they do find a market niche sooner than later based on who decides to start liking their product or service first. So if it ends up being men between ages of 18 and 25, then that becomes your market, and then you've really learned to cater to that market, versus if it ends up being women over 50, you market it differently, but it's the same service and product, because that could be who was in your original network and audience to begin with. A couple other questions here. Any tips for anyone who's in network marketing? The idea that that's, a business within itself, but any tips for those who might be in network marketing?
Network marketing, I actually love network marketing because it does teach you leadership. It does teach you how to sell. It does teach you how to get over no, the word no, because you hear it a lot. So for someone in that business, look at what you're learning from that, develop your skills from that, and I think it really does have its place. Obviously, it helps a lot of businesses get their products out there faster, so it does have its place. But look at what skills you can get from it, and understand that when you get a no, it definitely is because of kind of the history with those businesses, and you just have to keep going. No question about it. That's the only methodology that you can have is what can you learn from the leadership? What sales skills can you learn? Obviously, you want to make money. And just retaining that knowledge and being a sponge around those people.
Great. Another question we have, which is of interest, is, someone has a great idea and they can sell the product, but they need supplies. Like, what are the best ways to start when you don't always have all the resources that you need, but you definitely have the vision, the piece, what you want to get done, but maybe not everything in the pocketbook is ready. So when do you, suggest someone like that launches their business, and how do they kind of, fake it till they make it?
So there's a couple of things that you can build. Obviously, you can build one at a time, sell one at a time. That's just going to take a lot longer. Some of the things that you can do if you need the money to scale the business, I definitely believe in OPM, other people's money, other people's time, other people's resources, you name it, as long as it's a win-win for both of us. But look at crowdfunding. There was the example of Pebble Watch. They sold $1 million in watches before it was ever built. So if people really like what you have and really the why behind what you're doing is very important and the product is superior, even that one product, you can raise money to do it. And that's a true testimony of somebody who's done it.
That's for sure. So this is another technical business question, but would love to hear your answer on it. When someone's deciding to open a business or not, the actual business structure matters, whether or not it's an LLC, a corporation, a B Corp, even a nonprofit 501c3. How should one think about which designation, what kind of business, legally they should bind under? What do you think is the best determining factor of which one to choose? Disclosure, I'm not an attorney, but sure. The answer how we help startups is we look at, okay, are you looking to raise money, a huge amount of money? Then you might want to look at incorporate. If you're looking to operate and grow and just maybe have an investor or two, then LLC would work perfectly. The thing you definitely want to stay away from is the sole proprietorship, because then all the legal responsibility falls back on you. So if LLC gives you some protection as, it separates you from the business, so to speak, and makes the LLC an individual as well as you an individual. And then same thing with an S Corp, makes you an individual, or keeps you an individual and makes the corporation an individual, so that all the liability doesn't fall upon you. Yeah. So for that listener out there, in general, all of the incorporations will basically protect you and your clients or customers, but you always want to be able to put yourself first. So the idea of choosing some of that is really important, and definitely seek some legal advice for that. Another question we have is a little bit closer to home for you, Mr. Pickett. Going back to some of the real estate, there's someone who's trying to source mortgage notes from institutional sellers or investor buyers. Do you have any advice, experience, or relationships in this space, given your real estate background?
The best thing I can tell you to do is to go to in every city there are investment groups, and you probably can Google to find them out, or go to your local real estate association to find out who's doing what. And real estate is one of those relationship businesses, so you've got to start to build relationships with movers and shakers. There's no way around that. And then the other thing is that nationally, hedge funds are buying up they're buying 100 houses at a time, 200 houses at a time, 1,000 houses at a time. So building relationships with bank REO specialists would be helpful, because the banks, when somebody goes into foreclosure, the banks get the information first. So building that relationship there will help you figure out a way to enter that space and stay in it. Okay,
well, our final question for today And then I would love for you to give your last kind of tips and advice to everyone before we depart, and then I will give some final words. But, you know, one of our listeners today, their target market is our seniors, 65 plus. They're not really on social media. And this would apply for other groups as well. Some people just don't use social media. So what are other suggestions of places to market services with the senior group in general? Churches, senior centers, et cetera, are their thoughts. But beyond social media, for any target market that's not, using social media, what are your suggestions of marketing?
I would, a non-obvious way would be to, I'm not sure what the service is or what the product is, but I would reach out to the people who care for them. Because the people who care, and that could be a physician, that could be, the majority of times now we find that the kids, if they have kids, are taking care of them. So that it's different people that you can reach out to. But from a physician standpoint, the physicians are taking care of them and giving them daily regimen or what they should do and checkups, et cetera. So they already trust the physician, and if your service or product truly adds value to both relationships, then that would be an entry point that I would consider. Because then you could reach one person that has the pulse of hundreds.
So any final parting words, and then I will wrap it up with, what's coming next for us. You had a lot of great advice today. I think your business is doing really well. I'm looking forward to a signed copy of your book personally. But, I'll see you on tour somewhere. Tell us a little bit what's coming up for you, and any last tips of them for entrepreneurship. Anyone who wants to get out there and be like you.
Well, I would say is to get started. Don't worry about being perfect. There is no such thing. To take massive action, to understand that it's going to be tough, and the best way to prepare is to be mentally strong. Take care of yourself physically. Get you some exercise. Surround yourself with people who believe in you. Surround yourself around successful people, and as it relates to validating products and services, you don't need to talk to anybody else except the people who are paying, right? Listen to the mentors, but the people who have the ability to pay, that's who you need to get your research or your answers from on what you need to do next in terms of rollout. And for me personally, I'm very excited, obviously, about the book. It is doing extremely well, and we are considering maybe a tour, and just going to continue to operate out of excellence and creativity, and who knows what will happen next. But the book right now, blackprintnewrules.com, is where you can find out what I'm up to and how I'm helping people there. And I'm going to continue in the startup space, helping startups grow and leverage intelligence and take the products and services to market.
Well, great. Al, thanks again for joining us today, and everyone else who is on the line. Whether or not this is the first time you've come to one of the National Urban League's Digital Career Success Series, or if you've been with us throughout the entire season and even last year, we hope that some of you will be joining us in Cincinnati, Ohio at our National Urban League Career Fair at the National Urban League's annual conference this July at the end of the month, the 22nd through the 27th. And we have a slot for entrepreneurs. We have a Small Business Matters section as well, which is free to all entrepreneurs. You still have to register, but there are a bunch of workshops, and there's even a pitch contest that I am the host for that will allow you to do some of the things that Al told us about today, to network, to gain some more knowledge, answer some of the same questions from some top experts, maybe find a mentor, etc. So please stay in touch with the National Urban League. Those of you who are job seekers and still not ready for your own hustle, We do have our Jobs Network where you can upload your resume at our National Urban League Jobs Network.com. And please upload your resume. We have hundreds of our own sponsors and corporations that are looking at those resumes daily and hiring folks from that specific list, knowing that they're diversity hires and coming specifically from the National Urban League Network. Once again, thank you for joining us. We will recap this and send it out along with the survey. You will get the notes, the slides, as well as the audio, and a link to the YouTube video playlist of all of our sessions that have taken place all season long. So thanks again. Look forward to seeing you next month when we return with our next part of the series. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.